Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Ashish. Linda, good to see you again, and this time not in Hilton Conrad, where we will definitely meet very soon. I can't say welcome to everyone by name, but it's lovely to see all of you. We'll just give it a few minutes until everybody assembles and join us. Lovely to see many of you here. Amazing. Let's just give it a few more minutes. Pleasure to see you too, Ashish. I guess we will meet tomorrow as well. So tomorrow will be an well, I'll see your face at least. One more minute before we start. Hi, Rahul. Super. So um, I will start my quick intro, and whilst we wait for our other colleagues to join us. So, good afternoon to everyone, and it's really a pleasure to welcome you all once again. I see some familiar names. I can't say faces because this is a webinar. I see some familiar face names from our March webinars, but I also see some new executives joining us today. Munir, it's so good to see you. This is the first time you attend any of our webinars, so a welcome to you. Just a quick housekeeping note before we begin. Whilst this is a Zoom webinar, so you can't really you don't see who's attending, we actually did activate our audio and camera access. So if you would like to ask any question at any time, simply raise your hand and we will activate both your mic and audio. Of course, that's if you want to. Alternatively, please feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat. Michael will pick them up, and if not, I will respond as his voice of God and alert him to the questions that we receive. Because really, today is a masterclass, and it's all about you engaging with the content that we are going to hear in order for us to walk away, and each one of us will have their own research assistant ready. Every time we have come together during these challenging times, I always say at the closing for those that have attended our March webinars, I truly hope I do not see you again under these circumstances. Yet, here we are already in week 7, still no clarity as to when this madness is going to end, nor the full short term, medium, or long term impact that it's all going to have on all of us as people and businesses. What we surely do have clarity on is how we choose to respond and our confidence that this too shall pass. Because remember, resilience is truly the DNA our DNA as a region and as an industry. We are made out of steel, even if at the moment it's feeling super heavy, impacting all of us in different ways. So for now, let's stay steady, focus on what we can control, and let us be prepared for the reset phase that we hope will be just around the corner. And this is exactly why at HSMAI we have listened to your requests. And truly, we did receive some requests to say, HSMAI, can we please use this time to skill or upskill our community? So today will mark the first session of a series of weekly webinars that we will be hosting every Wednesday at 4 p.m. GST. So go ahead and block your calendars from now. Today's session is about Notebook LM. Next week's session is going to be about F&B revenue. Some sessions might appeal to the entire community, like today, it's not really discipline specific. Other sessions will be very discipline specific, so they may appeal to some of our community executives. This topic in specific, Notebook LM, and I'm sure you also have it on your to-do list, have been on my to-do list for quite some time. And I'm personally looking forward to welcoming my new research assistant once I have finished this session. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome back our great supporter, Michael Goldrich, founder of Vendor Advisors and a true strategic voice in this space. Michael always supports us, but has previously delivered two master classes at our annual commercial strategy conference and has spent years with executives teams to decode what AI is actually changing. His last book, Invisible, could not be more timely because in an AI mediated world, if you are not structured, understood, and surfaced correctly, you risk becoming invisible. Today's masterclass is about showing us how Notebook LM can turn your own content into clear, structured insights, moving from information overload to a faster, smarter decision making. Key takeaways will include AI as a thinking partner, not just a tool that we use. Turn your data into decisions, not just reports. Work faster, and we all need to be working faster once the reset button is on. Work faster with more clarity and accuracy, and use your own trusted content to eliminate noise and hallucination. With that said, I leave the floor over to Michael and I become your voice of God. So thank you very much for coming. And please, this is a master class. This is not sitting and listening in. This is about you engaging and asking. And if you have Notebook LM, personally, I'm opening it on my second screen. So what Michael may show, I may navigate on my own Notebook LM to learn faster. Thank you very much.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Mona, for that introduction. Can you guys see the agenda on on your screen? And can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All
Let's
right,
see
we're
some
gonna
hands. Yeah.
All right, we are going to start the show. So I hope everyone's got their seatbelts on. So we're going to talk about quickly about my company, then what is Google Notebook LM, and then how to use it. I tell you, this is by far my favorite AI application and my favorite AI tool that no one seems to know about. So let's get to it. So about me, so I am like I've been doing I started right after grad school. I went into management consulting with Accenture and Anderson. Then I spent about 20 years working at hotels, big brands, little brands, boutique hotels, and then went to the hotel tech side. And when ChatGPT came out, I like that is the future. So I went in, started my own company, said, you know what? I want to learn everything there is about that, and I want to share everything that I know about that with the hospitality community. So this is what I do. I do literacy, I do discovery, which is sort of like what Mona was talking about, and then scaling. And I've got three books. And my latest one, which Mona was just talking about, Invisible, just came out like 3 weeks ago. And it's all about when people are using these AIs, how can your business be found? And I have all sorts of interesting charts and all this great stuff. All right, enough about that. So let's start with a story because it's always great to start these things with stories. So about a year, a little more than a year ago, I don't know if a lot of you recall, but when DeepSeek uh, launched and China said they were able to replicate the AI that, ChatGPT had done at a fraction of the price. When that happened over the weekend, the markets just crumbled for AI. They just lost so much money. And then that Monday morning, I got this email in my box. And this actually came from a hedge fund. And this hedge fund had lost $1 billion because they were heavily invested in NVIDIA. So I got this email from them, and they were looking for a DeepSeek expert to talk to all their investors to make them feel comfortable about what's going on and say that a lot of this stuff about uh, it wasn't real. So they asked me, "Are you a DeepSeek expert?" I said, "I know everything about AI there is, and yes, I am a DeepSeek expert." So they talked with me a little bit and they said, "Okay, we're going to book you in 24 hours." So here's the thing. I didn't know anything about DeepSeek. I actually only heard about it when the markets crashed. So I had 24 hours to become a world-class expert in DeepSeek and speak to these Wall Street analysts about hardware, software, NVIDIA, capability. And how did I do that? And I was successful because I used Google Notebook LM to make me an expert in 24 hours. And I will show you how I was able to do that by showing some of the functionality. But you'll understand why how this is a great thinking partner. And it's interesting because when I was done talking to these guys, I saw the guy that brought me on to speak to his um, all his investors. I saw him on CNBC right after I got off the call with them, and he started using some of the stuff I talked about. And I had just learned about all this in 24 hours. So anyway, what is Google Notebook LM? It is a private research assistant and it synthesizes knowledge instantly. What it does is you create notebooks, hence the name notebook. And what you do is you pull in sources into the notebook from PDFs, videos, websites. What you want to do is really think about it. It is like ChatGPT, but we know that ChatGPT hallucinates. So imagine having a ChatGPT type capability with sources you give to it that it doesn't hallucinate. That is what it is. And that is why it's really powerful, it's accurate, and just clean. So, how do you get to it? This is the site notebooklm.google.com. And when you come to this page, it's going to say try Notebook LM, or it's going to look like something like this. I know they keep changing the login page, but after you do that, you come over here and you see something that looks somewhat like this. And what you want to do is you use your Google account. There's no cost. I mean, you can pay for different tiers, and we'll go into that a little bit later. But to get started with this thing, it's just there's no cost. So you sign in and you create your first notebook by either clicking over here, create new, or create new. And you can just type in the name up here and give it a name that you will, that resonates with you. Because if you have, imagine a dozen of these things, you want to be able to find your content easily and quickly. So when you open it up, this is what you see. Oh my God, this is crazy. All right, but over here, here's all the sources that are included in your notebook. Here, this is where you interact with it in the center. And on the right-hand side, here's all the content that it just generates. And I'm going to go through all this in a moment. And it'll be crystal clear to you before you can imagine. All right, so first you got to start is you add sources. You click add sources over here, upload a source, or you can over here discover a source. And you want to add sources, you can add from your Google Drive, your PDFs. You can type in raw text, copy and paste. The only thing it doesn't take is anything that's like Microsoft. So Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint. So you just need to convert them into something that Google can like because they're competitors. All right. So when you're adding a source, here it is over here, you add source, you can over here, you can connect to Google Drive. You can add links here. You can add website links or YouTube links. And over here, you can copy text in here. It allows you to have a certain limit of sources. So here this one's up to 50. It depends on whether you're free, paid, or whatever. And then over here is say you're doing a research project and you don't have the sources. Well, then you're like, how am I going to get the information? You want to click over here and have it discover sources, and it'll go out onto the web and it will find the sources for you. And when you discover sources, what it does is it pulls in journals, reputable sites, university archives, and it just finds it, and then it allows you to pick and choose, and then you can just add them. But for today, what we're going to do is because I just want to show you how powerful it is just from one document. I created a fake flash, property flash report for January 31st. All this is made up data. So this is all I'm loading in, this property flash report into the system. And here you see it's right here. That's it. I've added it. You can see it. And instantly, as soon as I add it, you can see over here in the center, it starts doing stuff. What it does is summarizes that document. And apart from just summarizing the document, it gives you some preset questions that you might want to ask about it. And over here, it's similar to ChatGPT and the other ones, you can start just asking questions. Ask questions against a specific document, or if you have multiple documents, and then you can just ask questions right away without the fear of hallucination. So that is sort of like just out of the box right there. That is sort of like your ChatGPT experience, right? Nothing fancy, nothing to write home about for that one. But there's more. There's more. So let's continue on. Let's go to what's called the data table. And the data table, you'll see it right over here. And to activate it, all you got to do is click it. Now, for certain ones, you'll see pencils. And when you see a pencil, it means you can customize it and focus on the information. But right now, I want to show you. All I'm going to do is click Data Table. And when I click Data Table, this is what it creates automatically from that one source. You can see that one source, budget source, right there. One source, and it just automatically understands the information I had in that one source, and it just put together this data table, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. But even more, let's imagine you come over here and you click the little pencil and you want to describe something special. So let's say you put in here, analyze this data, this flash report from the perspective of a hotel marketing expert, create a table that identifies the top 3 opportunities, top 2 labor inefficiencies for each one, provide a by vendor strategic action that utilizes generative AI to improve performance. All right. So I'm just going to paste that right in here, and then I'm going to click generate. And this is what it created. Everything I asked for it in terms of revenue opportunity, labor inefficiency, the finding. Again, all from that one document. Absolutely amazing. So now let's go to reports. Reports are right over here. So let's get to reports. So you click reports, and when you click reports, these top 4 are always the same. These bottom 4 change based on whatever information you have. And when you see these pencils, again, it allows you to customize them. But let's go. So dynamic customer reports, it generates professional documents, briefing memos, blog posts. You can define the tone, the audience, the objective. You can customize the structure, and it has built-in languages, not just English, all these languages. So I'm going to click Executive Summary. I'm going to click Executive Summary. I'm going to click the guide, and I'm going to click the blog. All right. So I do that, and this is what it just created. Again, from that one document, here's the executive summary. Here is the guide that it created, and here is the blog post if I wanted to create from it. All at a click of a button. That's amazing, but it's going to get more amazing. I told you guys to hold on to your socks. This is good stuff. All right, so let's talk about infographics. Infographics right over here. Say we're going to click this, and again, all from one source. Imagine if you had more sources. So you're going to click infographic. So there it is. With infographic, again, you can just click general or you can customize it. Right now, I'm just going to click general. And what infographic here does is context aware. It reads your sources and just kind of comes up with a timeline or history or a flow chart. It comes up with its own style and it's exportable ready. So I click that and this is what it created from my one source document. It just inferred occupancy, daily rate, RevPAR. It came up with room revenue, F&B revenue, other stuff, and even used appropriate images in all these locations. But I thought that was great. But I wanted to do some customization to this. So what I wanted to do is I'll paste into here this information. And when I pasted this information, I was able to manipulate the infographic to come up with something like this. So if I were to use something like this every time in terms of this style, it will always create something that looks like this, regardless of whatever the content is. That's pretty cool. All right, slide deck. Over here, slide deck. So again, slide deck, you can just hit general or you can customize it. And so I'm going to show you just general. So slide deck, it generates presentation ready slides. You can control the slide count up to, I think, about 10, and you can refine individual slides to add more data or to fix something. And I'm going to show you. But I just took the default, and this is the slides that it just automatically created from that one flash report, the whole thing. So that's again, that's pretty amazing. But I want to customize it. And how do I want to customize it? And when I click this, I'm going to go into here and I'm going to say I want to create branded. I want to use my brand colors. I want to have a specific slide on market share dominance. And the final slide, I wanted to talk about me. All right. So I click generate. I paste that over here. I click generate. And this is how it changes up. So it's using my brand colors. It has the other information in the last slide. It creates all this about contact me. But wait. That's not me. That's not me at all. So I go in here and I click revise. And I say, wait a second, that's not me. Please remove it. So you click revise, and it says, I want to change slide 10. How do I want to change slide 10? Pull that out, and it recreates it, and there's now no image of me right there. So now we've seen a lot of interesting sort of information that the system can generate. But we're just tipping, you know, touching the tip of the iceberg here because what I'm going to show you now is its multimodal capabilities. Oh, I see, Mona, you have your hand raised?
Yes, because you said at the beginning that any Microsoft Office 360 would not work, which means that if I want to download that PowerPoint, I'm first downloading it because I may want to add some content to it or do my own amendments. Then I'm downloading it into a Google, I don't know what are they called, the PowerPoints in Google, and then I can convert it into a PowerPoint if I want to use PowerPoint. Like how can I download this PowerPoint?
This gets loaded as a PDF. So these are images. You can't actually edit this.
Ah,
So
so you will need to tell them to edit it.
yeah, so that would like what I did just now where I said,
Okay.
remove my picture. You have to do
Mm.
this. So, but one of the things that's great about that, so in LinkedIn, when people have slideshows that go along the bottom, when you download, like say you wanted to create a slideshow, you just download these slides right here, it downloads as a PDF. And then when you put a LinkedIn post and you hit the little plus sign and you can add the PD, add this, it makes a slideshow. I've done that lots of times. So that's, one of the ways that people create that content. So, but yeah, this is not, each of these come down as images and they're not editable as they are.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sure. All right. But now we're going to get to some super cool stuff. And this is what I think is the most, well, everything here was exciting. I love the data tables, love the infographics, love the slides. Now it's going to get even more interesting because we're going to level that up. We're going to talk about audio. It creates audio. So what am I talking about here? All right. So you click audio overview here. And again, you see a little pencil to customize it. But initially, I am not going to, but you can see these different options. A deep dive, you want it to be brief, a critique of the sources, or have a debate. So I'm going to download, I think, a deep dive and a debate. But it generates different audio summaries, and it usually uses two different voices, and you can control the length and the output language, and you can pause it as it's creating, and you can even interact with the hosts as they're going along. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to share with you so you can see a little bit what it is. So I'm going to start with this one first, a deep dive podcast. And Mona, confirm with me that you can hear it once I start playing it.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're doing
Yes, we
something that
can.
feels a little bit like, well, corporate voyeurism.
That is certainly one way to put it. We're definitely peeking behind the curtain.
We usually look at businesses from the outside, you know. We talk about the branding, the customer journey, the shiny facade that they want us to see.
Right.
But today, we are walking through that heavy door marked employees only.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking at the dashboard of a massive machine, a luxury resort on one of the most critical days of the year.
It's a fascinating perspective. We aren't looking at a glossy brochure or some carefully worded press release.
Yo.
We are looking at the raw, vital signs of a living, breathing business.
Exactly. So let's set the scene for you. The date is Saturday, January 31st, 2026.
And this isn't just a random Saturday.
No, it is the month-end close. The document we have in front of us is the daily property flash.
All right, so that was the deep dive. Again, that was generated by me just clicking deep dive. And so you can hear the male and the female voice, they go back and forth. Now I'm going to share with you sort of like what it sounds like when I click debate.
Welcome to the debate. It is Monday, February 2nd, 2026. The month-end books have officially closed. The coffee is fresh and, frankly, necessary. And we have the Vivander Resort Daily Property Flash Report for Saturday, January 31st, sitting right here between us. Now, for the uninitiated, this isn't just a piece of paper. This report is a final verdict on the first month of the year. It's a scorecard that tells us if we started 2026 with a bang or a whimper.
And what a verdict it is. I've been staring at these columns for the last hour, and we are looking at a property that is navigating a fascinating, and I would argue, a deeply precarious shift in its entire business identity.
Precarious? That is certainly a glass half empty way to frame it. I would lean much closer to triumphant. The central question we are tackling today is pretty straightforward. Does the January data for Vonda Resort show a masterclass in revenue management where the team successfully used group business to compensate for a leisure slowdown? Or, as I suspect you are itching to argue, does it reveal dangerous cracks in the resort's core high-yield transient segment?
That is exactly where I stand. I look at these numbers, specifically the granular breakdown beyond.
All right, so you can see, so they pick an item to debate on, and I didn't tell them what to debate on, and they will go back and forth and look at the source documents, pick their position. Oh, Mona, you got another question.
Well, I'm your voice of God, right?
Yes.
We're receiving some queries here about because we're using our own data. Everyone is asking about the confidentiality, and does that go to public LLM, like you would fear from a ChatGPT?
Okay, so this is how I answer that question because I get asked that a lot. It is as safe as your Gmail is. Because it's within the whole Google instance. So how Google positions this is they say they do not train on your private data. That is what Google says. Now, you can either take them at face value or not, but that is the position. So unlike ChatGPT, free version, that it is trained, this is not trained from what they say.
Yeah, when I registered yesterday and I activated my notebook on my G Suite account because I have my G Suite account, it actually did declare that this is your private data and it is not used for any training purposes. But I have just a reconfirmation. So the real caveat here is everything must be in the G Suite environment. So whether it's Excel, Word, PowerPoint, any document, it needs to be in a G Suite format, right?
A G Suite or generic, like CSV files it'll take, or
Mm,
.text files. It just can't be Microsoft. It'll
mm.
take anything else.
Yeah,
So
they have to make our
.doc,
life difficult.
yeah, .xls, .ppt. Otherwise, it'll take it. But
Okay,
these podcasts are pretty cool, right?
very.
So just imagine, and before I go on to the next thing here, imagine you have received a report and you're on your way to work and you don't have time to read it. You just put it in Google Notebook LM and just say, create a podcast for me, summarize this whole thing. And you can listen to these two people talk about it. And so by the time you show up, you could be fully briefed. So that's how I know some people use this.
Welcome back to the deep
So
dive.
let
Welcome.
Today,
so now let's go and customize it a little bit. So I'm hit customize, and what I'm going to say here is I wanted to kind of insert me in here and talk about how I'm helping drive all this revenue and I'm helping with the ultimate occupancy. So then it creates it, and let me get to about where it is. You can see how it inserts me in here.
hello and welcome back to the deep dive. I'm really excited about today's session because we are doing something we rarely get to do on here.
Yeah, we're getting hyper specific today.
Exactly. Usually, we're looking at broad industry trends. We take these 30,000-foot views of the economy or new hospitality tech. But today we are zooming in, way in.
We certainly are. We're looking at a single day, a single month, and really just a single property.
We've got our hands on the Vivander Resort daily property flash for January 31st, 2026.
Right. And for those of you who aren't, deep in the hotel game, the Flash sounds like it might be some sort of superhero newsletter.
Right, some comic book thing.
Yeah. But it's actually something much.
All right, hold on. It's not. Wait, let me.
Business. It just strips away all the marketing fluff and shows you the raw health of the operation.
And the mission today for us is to decode that health. We want to look under the hood of this specific operation, Vivander, and see how the owner and founder, Michael J. Goldrich, is actually driving performance.
So
Because I'll
anyways,
be honest with
that's a way that you can help manipulate the content a little bit by going to the custom instructions to kind of insert whatever kind of message you want to sort of have it influence a little
hello
bit.
and
But there's more. So when you're on Google Notebook LM, when you look at the podcast, they have this little icon here. And if you want to just play it, you hit this little triangle. But if you want to interact with it, for example, say you're listening to the podcast and you're trying to learn, like I was trying to learn about DeepSeek and you know nothing about DeepSeek. And so they're talking about concepts you don't know. Well, if you have a podcast that has an icon like this, that means that you can join the podcast. And how do you do that? You you click this and you'll see something that looks sort of like this. And as soon as they mention something you don't know, you click join. See that right here in the join? And as soon as you click join, they'll like, whoa, wait, we got a question from the audience or something like that. And then you can go in and say, wait a second, can you explain to me what occupancy means or what RevPAR means? I don't understand what you mean about this. And what is TrevPAR? And so they'll pause, they'll address that, and then they'll continue on. So this is a great way to actually be a participant within this audio. So that's a super cool, super duper cool. All right. But if you don't believe me, it gets even cooler. And so it gets cooler with video. And where is video? Where is video? Video overviews. All right. Again, this is all from one source document. We come over here with video. You can click video, just have it generate a video, or click the little pencil to customize it. So when you open it up, it's going to ask you, it's going to give you, actually it's new, and I'm going to show you something new that just came in, but it'll ask you to pick a style, what should they focus on, or what have you. So Google NotebookLM takes their sources, generates a video, and then applies natural language, and it essentially creates a slideshow. So let's go through this right now. So this is
All
just
right,
out of
today we're going to
default.
put you in the hot seat. We're stepping into the mind of a general manager at a high end luxury resort. And our guide, this document right here, the daily flash report for the Vivander Resort, dated January 31st, 2026. This one piece of paper is the key to understanding the health of a multi-million-dollar business. So let's crack it open. I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? And the answer is right here in this report.
All right, so you can see how that
All right, today
creates
we're going to
it.
put you in the
Oh,
hot seat. We're stepping.
oh, but now let us click the pencil and we're gonna want to customize it. And you know what I want to do? I want to add my branding colors to it. And again, I want to stick myself in here, right? So brand colors, stick myself. And what I do is I copy and paste that. I click the little pencil. I paste it all in here, up here. I put my branding because it says, what's the style? What should they focus on? So I say, this is what they should focus on. I click generate, and this is what it created.
Every month businesses.
You can see the coloring has changed. And if you go all the way to the end, oh, where is it? Go all the way to the end. And there you go. You can see how it stuck me in there,
To your own
which is
property,
which is
Vivander Advisors.
right, which is terrific. Um,
You know,
but let's do this again. Let's click the pencil because things
Mi-
just changed within the
Michael,
past week.
Michael,
Yes,
your voice of God is coming. We have Ashish who would like to ask a question.
sure.
So let's get Ashish into the audio, mic, video. Ashish,
Hello.
you're
Sure.
there.
Hi,
Hi, Michael. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I hope
All
you're
right.
enjoying the show.
Absolutely. It is awesome. I mean, it's just so inspiring. I never knew that this actually existed, to be honest. Thank you so much for this. And I'm sorry, I raised my hand a couple of slides back because when you were talking about the audio part, actually, I just wanted to have a quick question. Is there a way of customizing the debate that there is on the audio into making it more concise, uh, keeping in mind at times, we just want to make a summary of what we want to prepare just going into a meeting or etc. Just to give a highlight or high level information rather than getting into, I know the normal podcast will always involve two people talking and giving all the the casual talks as well in the middle, but just to make it more professional, more concise. Is there a possibility? I'm not sure. I just
Yeah,
want to check.
yeah. So for what you're saying is if you want to make it shorter, you click short in
Right.
terms of length. Say it's a debate, so you want to debate and just say, I just need you to focus on whatever here. So this is what you want them to focus on. Only
Okay.
cover this or discuss this. See that? It gives you like these little guides here. But that's
Right.
how you can do it. So you can control the length. I've created ones that are up to 30 minutes long. When you
Okay.
do short, it's about 3.5 minutes. And you can control it with however you want it. Or you can have it critique the sources.
Right. And you can get a backup record or something like that, which I can replay.
Yeah, yeah, you can download this. It's
I can.
downloadable, just like how
Under-
you're hearing it right now. All of
right.
this is downloadable.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. That answers my question.
Oh, sure.
I have a
and
question.
well,
I have
Okay.
two questions.
all right.
I'm your voice of God. So,
Yes.
question to you. Can you collaborate with colleagues by inviting them into a specific notebook? Specific notebook. I remember yesterday when I activated my notebook, it said, what are you using it for? As an individual or as a team? Or no,
I
maybe not.
I know you can share your notebooks, and I haven't tried that, but I imagine if you can share it, you probably can control the sharing options of they just get what you have and they see what you've done, or that you allow them to add sources or add whatever they want.
So
I
it's a
imagine
collaboration. It
I
can be a
imagine that's
collaboration.
possible. I don't know though.
Okay, Michael, can I ask you for a favor? You're my greatest supporter, no? Why don't you go and test it for us and then send me the summary of your findings and then I'll share it with all the audience. And I'll say, Michael tested it for us. And yes, this is how it goes. See, I even have more raised hands now. Can we
All
do that,
right.
Michael, please?
Yes. So Mona, why don't we do this? Why don't you send me an email with your Google link that you use, and then I'll share with you, and then we can go back and forth and try it.
Done. I'll do that. And I have one more question before I leave the floor to someone who just raised their hand. So, stupid question from me, sorry. So, basically, a lot of us use the Microsoft Office 360 documents. So, but we have our G Suite accounts. When you're adding resources, it doesn't really need to be a document. It can just be the Google file link, right?
You can add, yeah, as long as it's not like a Microsoft extension, you can add anything. You can add websites, add PDFs. So if you have like say a Microsoft document, just save it as a PDF.
Yeah,
And or you can just copy and paste it all and just paste it in as text.
I'm just thinking of all my colleagues on the call, and we have 50 of them, whose all their analysis reports are in Excel. So how do you get that heavy report that is in an Excel into a notebook?
You can either save it as a numbers file, like in Google, whatever that they call that, or
Yeah.
save it as a CSV, and then you can attach it that way.
Okay. We have some hands being raised. So Adrian first. Adrian, go ahead.
Adnan,
Oh, Adnan,
go ahead.
sorry. I don't have my eyeglasses.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Mona. Uh, I mean, I have actually used, I don't know, can you listen to me?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I had used, Notebook LM in the past, and I just wanted to understand from the debate, can that be done on multilingual,
Yes, so
debate,
you can choose hold on.
like two different languages at a time?
Oh, I don't believe that's the case. So here, let's go. Whoops. I think you just get to choose one language.
All right. Okay.
Well,
Mhm.
hello.
All right, I'll continue on a little bit here, and then we can have more
All right.
questions because we're going to get to something new
You
and
know,
super cool. Not that this other stuff wasn't super cool, but this is new as of like the past couple of weeks. It's called cinematic video. So again, I pasted in my customization here, and this is what it creates. Ready? So this is kind of cool.
To predict if a resort can host a truly flawless event, you check its operational pulse, not its marketing. The Vivander Resort Daily Flash for January 31st, 2026 provides exactly that kind of empirical proof. This comparison chart shows the month-to-date rooms revenue hitting $1,168,470, easily clearing baseline budget expectations. Food and beverage totals reflect a similar momentum, crossing the $500,000 mark to reach $524,680. These impressive top-line numbers prove massive volume. However, gross revenue alone doesn't show us how guests are actually moving through the space. To judge the actual atmosphere and see if the property can engage a large-scale event crowd, we have to track exactly where those guests spend their time. Breaking down specific outlet data lets us build a physical map of the daily guest footprint. This spatial map tracks the daily flow. Morning activity is highly concentrated, with the coffee outlet generating.
I mean, we could watch that all day.
To
That is
predict
new and totally impressive. All right, but we're gonna go with other stuff. So I think that is all amazing, right? But let's go into other capabilities because there's more. It's like, you know, how they used to sell those Ginsu knives. There's more. All right, so let's do mind maps. So what is a mind map for those of you who don't know? Mind map is basically how it takes information that it has and it kind of breaks it into like almost like a tree. in categories and then subcategories and subcategories and so on and so on. So it really takes whatever it is and down to its root element. So how do you do it? You click mind map, and this is what it creates. So this is collapsible. And then if I open this up, it opens up these branches. And then if I click this up, it opens these branches until there's no more branches to open. So here you can see I have more branches. So it took my report, broke it up into four main categories, and allowed me to drill down into how it saw each of these. That's really, really powerful and super cool. All right, let's continue. Flashcards. Flashcards, again, for those of you who need to learn something really quickly, like I needed to learn about DeepSeek, or those of you who have kids that are in class that need to kind of know something and memorize something, well, flashcards are pretty impressive here. So you do flashcards. Again, you can hit the regular one or you can customize it. I'm just going to hit the regular one here. And what it does is it creates something that looks like this and I can see whether I know it or not. Then I click it, it flips it around, and this is the answer. And if I don't know the answer, I click explain, and it explains it to me. So this is a way to learn something super fast. So again, and then I go to the next card over here. So I go through my flashcards and I'm like, okay, now quiz me on this because I need to know this because I need to be the world expert in 24 hours. Quiz me so I actually know this stuff. So quiz is over here. And again, quiz, I can take the default or I can customize it. And if I wanted to customize it, I could do a number of questions, how hard I want it to be, things I needed to focus on. But I'm just going to pick just general right now, just to show you guys. And so this is what it created for me. 10 questions, gives me the choices A through D, and then I pick one, and it tells me if I pick the wrong answer, it says this is wrong, why it's wrong, this is the right answer, and so on and so forth. So that's the quiz. Now, for those of you who use Gemini, there is now a feature when you hit the plus sign in Gemini, you can add, if you have a notebook that has your source information, you can add the notebook and it will use it as the source for whatever you need to ask Gemini. So that is something very interesting. So it turns, use cases that you could use, strategy documents, RFPs, standard specs, meeting notes, policies, diagrams. These are all the different ways that it can help drive value and as well as impact. Now, there are different tiers for Google Notebook. There's a free tier. A plus tier allows you to have more generations of infographics and videos. The Pro plan gives you more storage, and then the Ultra plan allows you more stuff. So again, free is probably what most people need, but you do have these options. And just to kind of see free, you get 50 notebooks, you get 3 overviews, 50 chats, and so on and so forth. So that's just how you understand. Again, and you can get rid of the watermark with the Ultra tier. Now some hacks, because hacks are great. Say you have a YouTube video, you don't want to watch it so much, you can load it in as a source and then you can basically have it transcribe it and it pulls out everything that they're talking about in the video. So it's a way to give you a full transcription of a YouTube video. And as well as sort of like audio text, like say you have an audio file that you need transcribed. Again, you add it as a source and you say transcribe it and or tell me everything that's going on in here and it'll tell you everything that's going on with that audio file. And then a sort of a personal AI editorial team, like say you're working on a document and you want to have a critique of it, you upload it as a source, and then you can look at it from a reports blog, and you can actually have it looked at from different perspectives of how people are viewing the content, so you can understand how it's being understood. And done. There you go. That's it. Sorry. That was sort of like a little quiet doing a finish there, but there we go.
Yeah, but
Mona?
there you go. I'm not so sure about there you go. I feel like my brain is like going to going to explode, Michael. But I was testing things while you were talking. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Um, any questions other than what has been asked? And for those that have shared a chat, did we answer your queries around collaboration, confidentiality? Okay, I see Bishoy would like to have a question. Jean, can we get Bishoy in? I'm sorry if I read anybody's name wrong because I forgot my eyeglasses. Not very smart. Go
Hi,
ahead, Bishoy.
hi.
Okay. You're having
Yes.
a mic issue? Okay, there was somebody else who raised their hand, Jean. Can we get them in? Mazen, Kifak.
سهلا اهلا وسهلا مساء الخير. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Go ahead.
Thank you Mona for inviting.
We lost Mazen.
Sorry, it's okay, you can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you Michael for your presentation as well, for the fruitful information that you had presented. I have a question. It's concerning for the dialogue that sorry, the podcast that you had presented. Is there a way that we can interact in the conversation in the podcast there?
Yes, you can. So when in the actual podcast, you can actually, if you download it, you can't really interact with it. However, if you access it on Google Notebook LM, there has something that looks like almost like a hammer instead of next to the triangle. If you click that, what it's going to do is open up a special podcast window. And so you can actually see when they're talking, there's a line that whenever they talk, you kind of see the line go up and down based on their voice. And at the bottom of that screen, there's a word join. And if you click the word join, they'll stop talking and then they'll ask for your question and then they'll answer your question.
Lovely. And for my interaction, will that be possible if this will be added to the podcast as well?
No, that's not going to be saved unless you record yourself. Like you'd have to record yourself doing that, but that's not going to be part of a new generation. So it's gonna it doesn't get saved like that.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
But if you have a number of questions like that, what you can do is in the audio custom instructions, you say, if you want it to talk about housekeeping failures or talk about group sales washes, it'll focus on that. So if you add that, say, I need to make sure that you address these. You can do that in the when you do the customization for it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Yes, Ashish.
Hi, Michael, Ashish again. I wanted to check, is there a version for mobility separately, or is the same thing works on PC as well as mobiles?
Yeah, so there's a mobile app which I have, which you can, if you're logged in, you can access your different files.
Hmm.
I haven't tried to, so I can see what I've done on desktop in there, but and I can get my audio files from there. I haven't tried to add sources there. It seems a little more limited, but that's something you can experience.
Sure.
Um,
Thank you.
and that's on Apple. I haven't tried Android, but I assume it's a Google product, so I have to imagine it's definitely on Android.
Yes, thank you.
I think we can take one more question. Are there any hands raised still, Jean?
And no, but we do have some questions in the Q&A.
I've done all of them. Tamer Saeed just passes a message to you, Michael, saying that he's been using it since you introduced it during our last HSMAI conference. And today he just got to know more tricks. So good to hear, Tamer. And I hope you are registering soon for our conference in November, because guaranteed we will be putting some more master classes there as well, face to face this time. Any more questions before we close the day?
We have actually two questions in the Q&A, Mona. One from Taran. I think it comes down
Oh, I
to the
didn't see the
prompt.
Q&A. I'm seeing the chats.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So I think it comes down to the prompt that you are putting in to get an effective output. Any tips on that in particular?
So for tips, what I would do is I would go to ChatGPT or Gemini, and I would say, I am creating a prompt for Google Notebook LM for the audio overview. I want to make sure it covers this, this, and this. Please help create instructions that will make it rich in detail. And then whatever it spits out, I would copy that and paste it in.
Okay, I'm sorry that I missed some Q&As. I was looking at the chats, not the Q&As only. Robert is asking a question. Are Google Notebook the same, similar to Copilot notebooks, which do allow Microsoft documents to be used?
I haven't used Copilot notebooks, but I imagine they're probably similar. But I haven't played with it, so I would think that it's probably not as robust, but
As
I don't know.
Google, yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, you
don't.
have 24 hours to learn now and become the expert.
That's
How
right.
does Notebook LM balance summaries with preserving nuance, especially when multiple uploaded sources contain conflicting viewpoint? Very good question.
Oh, that yeah, no, that's good, and I've noticed that too. So I think that if you just click, you can look at critique where it looks at the sources, so it'll pick up the different inconsistencies. But you can also do the in the chat when you've uploaded them, do a chat, identify any areas where the sources conflict with each other. So in that first thing what I told you about in the center of Google Notebook LM, you can actually talk to it and say, please identify any areas in which the sources conflict and provide conflicting data. It'll give you that right there. And then you can go ahead and think about what you want to do with it accordingly. If you have something that conflicts, and then you can either remove a source that is a bad source, so you can delete it so it doesn't contaminate the rest of the stuff, or maybe you want to have them debate it. Say, okay, you can go to the debate podcast, say, you know what, I have these two sources, two conflicting perspectives. Here's what we have. Can you guys debate it to help me understand which one might be right?
Interesting. One more question. How can I utilize Notebook LM for speed reading? You showed us how to do the transcript for a YouTube or a recording.
For speed reading,
Mm,
well, I'd say so speed reading, I'd say Cliff Notes. Like say you've got a PDF that's like say 100 pages long, you put it in there, say I got to be able to understand the gist of this. You could do that right in the chat. Just say, tell me the 20 things I need to know about this and why. What are the important things to know about this and why? And it'll tell you right away what it is, and it'll source it. It'll say where it pulled it from. So while it won't help you read the whole thing faster, it can break it down for you to understand it. But you can do that with ChatGPT and Gemini right now.
yeah. Um, um, are we able to change the voices in the audio video overview, not the language, but the voice, the actual voice?
Yeah, not yet. Like I've tried to, like I've heard them experiment with voices. Like I've gotten a British voice one time, but as of right now, they probably will want you to pay more to be able to do that. But right now, it's always those two voices.
Manas, did we answer your question with regards to how to do speed reading? Manas would like to use it to read a study from books, and but by chapter. So how can I customize prompts for each chapter with infographic and mind maps for each chapter?
Well, you just do what I would do for that one is I would create a new notebook per chapter. And then for each chapter, I would say create an infographic, create a audio, so it just focuses on that chapter, and then it'll do it that way. I do chat like I had to do a research project, and there were 20 different parts. Each part, I created 20 different notebooks for each one, so it would focus just on that one particular element.
I hope we're answering all these questions, huh? Can you set a notebook level persona?
Um, that's interesting. I think you do that in custom instructions. In terms of saying, I want you to provide this information as a chief marketing officer for a top hotel brand. Everything should be interpreted from that perspective. So I think it basically you set it in the custom instructions, saying that is how you need to be speaking as. And I think it'll do it all from that perspective.
Per notebook or for the entire notebook? So per
You have to
notebook.
do it per customization. So you can't do it at the beginning. You have to do like if you're creating a podcast where you have the little pencil, every time you click the pencil, you have to do that. So right now, I don't think there's a universal setting. Not that I've seen.
One last question, because we've already overrun by 3 minutes. Is Notebook capable of having a good example of use case where I can use it, to validate the, oh no, I lost the question. Sorry. I apologize.
You can use it as creative designing for
Yes.
mood boards, briefs, storyboard, or inspiration.
I think so. I think you use the infographic capability there and just say, I'm trying to come up with some inspiration. I create a mood board infographic for me that kind of picks out the elements here to inspire me. I think if you were to prompt the infographic to do something like that, it would do that for you.
Okay, we've overrun by 4 minutes. Thank you very much, Ashish, Mazen. Can we take two more questions? But these are the last two. I can't tell Mazen and Ashish no. Ashish, quickly, what's your question?
Hi, Mona. I typed in the question saying, can it also do a reference check of external data sources simultaneously to validate the conclusive interpretations from its own data source that we have provided?
So in that particular situation, Ashish, what I would do is I would connect Google Notebook LM to Gemini
Okay.
and say, can you go through and validate the sources
Mm.
here and whatever you want to do. I would use it in conjunction with Gemini for that.
Understood. In that case, the closed user groups, for example, the accessibility required with passwords, etc., would still be possible.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Mazen?
Yeah, hi again. Yeah, Michael, sorry, will Notebook LM will it help me to generate business strategies, or just it will give me like let me say summarizing of the data?
In the reports, you're allowed to customize your own. So
Mhm.
there, I would say click dynamic and just hit the little pencil and say, I need to come up with a business strategy. Or you tell it to have the role. You are a strategy consultant. I need to come up with a business strategy from these sources. Can you come up with a document that can help guide me? So that is what I would do in that situation where there's one of the reports that says like create your own. It's on the top left when you look at reports, and that's where I would do that.
Great. Thank you.
Perfect. With that said, I say thank you very much for attending today's masterclass. Michael, thank you as always. You and I have a test to do so we can answer Wendy back regarding the collaboration. I'll actually share the answer with everyone if we can collaborate, you and me or not. Do mark your agendas for next Wednesday, 4 p.m. GST. The discussion will be about F&B revenue optimization. Yes, some of our restaurants are closed. It's a fact. Yes, some you're operating with a minimal number of restaurants today. That's a fact. But tomorrow, when that go button goes on, we need to really optimize every single dollar that we have at our hotels. So that's the discussion for next Wednesday. Judith Cartwright, who is our board member and a great supporter of the HSMAI and an expert when it comes to revenue optimization and F&B revenues. She will be our facilitator for next week's masterclass, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Thank you very much for attending, Michael. Thank you once again. Always lovely to have you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I still see people leaving, so I forgot to mention about the feedback form. Can you please make sure this goes out today to everyone who's attended? We've had a great audience today. Yeah, Jean?
Yes.
Yeah. We had 50 in total, Michael.
We had what? 50?
50. Yeah.
Is that
And
good?
yes, and it's quite diverse from UAE, Saudi, Egypt. There's quite a few. We have Tehran with us all the way from Canada, but Tehran is an HSMAI to the core.
Yes.
We still have some audience leaving and great interaction with regards to the questions, so that's excellent.
And I'm really glad we're able to get the audio to work because that would have been a real bummer.
Yeah.